Hello, wild women, wise women, and witches. So it's that time again. It's going to be a full moon on the 17th, and this particular full moon will have a lunar eclipse associated with it, and it will also be the harvest moon because it is the last full moon before Mabon or the autumnal equinox. So there's a lot of energies going on here. So let's just do a refresher on the full moon energy itself. The full moon energy is obviously about reflection because it is reflecting the sun's light in fullness, illumination, and also feminine enlightenment because it is associated with our receptive natures and water and flow. All that being said, with a full moon in Pisces, you can either have a tidal wave or a nice steady stream. It's completely up to you and what you decide to do, and also kind of where you're at. But this is going to be a pretty powerful moon. The moon already represents watery energies, and with Pisces being the mutable water sign, it's just an intense time for our emotions, our feelings. Sometimes we can take our compassion too far, our empathy too far, or sometimes it allows us to display more empathy and compassion. So let's just talk about some of these key words for the Pisces energy, because depending on where you are in your life and what kind of emotional state that you're in and what your emotional fulfillment is at this present time or what you're lacking, this can be a really powerful moon and a powerful time to work. But because there is so much watery energy going on, and because we do have a partial eclipse associated and a harvest moon associated, it's one of those that can be really, really intense. Probably the most intense one we've talked about thus far with this full moon series. So deep emotions, empathy, compassion. Pisces are highly sensitive. Their energy and emotions can be all over the place. A lot of times emotional regulation is difficult for Pisces. But that's because they're also exceedingly creative. A lot of times when we can shut down that more logical side of our brain, it allows us to be more creative, more inventive. It provides inspiration and opens our intuition. So the full moon in Pisces is a great time for any creative endeavor. If you want to do a ritual where you wanted to enhance your creative writing, your music, your poetry, or whatever creative form your expression takes, this is a great time to kind of dedicate to that if you wanted to do some kind of dedication ceremony at this full moon. So let's talk a little bit about the partial eclipse. So what happens with the partial eclipse? Well, you get a little bit of shadow on the moon. This being in a Pisces energy and in a highly intensive emotional state can make it either a good or a bad time to do shadow work. It just depends on where you're at. But it is so much flow and so much release that it is a good time to do some shadow work, especially with things that relate to you emotionally and in your emotional body. So keep that in mind. It can be a good or a bad thing, and should be approached with caution because sometimes when we're doing shadow work, we do open up this huge door of release, and it can be overwhelming. But it's also, at the end of the day, healthy and beneficial to have these things released because a lot of times they are a blockage that needs to be released. And boy, could the Pisces energy, especially with the partial eclipse, do that for you. And I'll talk about a few examples of some rituals you could do here in just a second. With the harvest moon, with it being right before the harvest moon, it also adds a certain intensity as well, because we're also at kind of a spiritual portal between the seasons. So we're going in that time of where we've had all this growth with the summer, and we're moving into more the harvest of all the things that we've developed and cultivated through the summer season, whether actually in your garden or a spiritual garden. So it is like a cosmic gateway when you have this as well. So if you're doing more intense initiatory work, this would also probably be a good time, as most times are when you're going between the seasons. This would be a good time for some more of that initiatory meditation or preparation for it, because it does create this kind of gateway or portal of energy between all this growth and then the harvest of that growth. So keep that in mind as well. So one of the kind of shadow work elements that you can do with the full moon in Pisces is a ritual release. It's like a release of illusions or holding on to feelings that really do nothing but drag you down. Could be because, of a lost love or the dissolution of a relationship, and that can even be a friendship. So sometimes we build in our mind, our expectations create these illusions that will never see fruition because they're not really based in any kind of experience that can come to fruition. So it's a good time for releasing illusions, releasing negative emotions, releasing negative self-talk. This can be a powerful time for self-care. So you could also do a ritual for releasing kind of your own negative feelings, things that you just want to let go of and you're ready to let go of. And this is a great time to let go of them. So one of the simplest rituals that I can recommend, and you don't have to like go collect the full moon water before this. If you've got some previous full moon water, it's just fine to use it. But have yourself a small bowl of salt or a cup of salt, because we're going to add water to it. A cup of salt, and it can be black salt, it can be white salt. You use whatever resonates with you and how you feel is best appropriate to your intention. Charge that salt with either the things that you want to release, charge it with the power to release illusions, that kind of thing. Pour your negative emotions into it, like just, literally you can hold it in your hands and charge it with the things that you want to release emotionally. So charge that and then add some moon water to it, or it can just be purified water or some holy water that you have. You can charge that holy water prior to doing the ritual. Add that and mix it all together till the water is clear. And then if you're not near a stream where you could go like pour it in a stream or something like that, you can pour it on the ground under the full moon. You can pour it around a tree. I like doing it around a tree. Because I feel like that network of energy that's going into the ground helps release that energy into the planetary consciousness where I can let it go. So these are just some examples for your full moon in Pisces. Just remember that it is really an intense time. If you're feeling a little shaky with your emotions, this might be just a good time to do some self-care. If you're feeling like you've really got to let go of some stuff and now is the time, this is a perfect full moon to release things. But remember, it's going to be powerful. It's going to be intense. It's going to be deeply emotional. It's going to cause sensitivities. It can heighten your empathy, heighten your compassion. So just keep all of that in mind, and keep that in mind in your relationships with others during this full moon, because it can impact even how we react at work, or how we react with our friends, or how we react in community. So I hope everyone has a blessed full moon. If you'd like more suggestions on some ritual options, or you have a specific question, please feel free to reach out to me. I will be posting this on the WildWomen, WiseWomen and Witches YouTube page, but also in our private group on Facebook. And if you'd like to join that, you can DM me, you can post a comment to this video. So everyone have a blessed full moon, and we'll see you next month. Same moon time, same channel.